In the long, epic story of football, we've seen figures who just ruled the pitch. Kings, really. Their presence alone was just absolute power.
And yeah, we've also seen warriors, titans who would battle for every single inch of grass, bending games to their will through just sheer force and determination.
But then, every so often, something different comes along. Someone who isn't a king, not really a warrior, but something else entirely. Something quieter, but maybe infinitely more powerful.
So today, we're not just going to talk about another great player. No, we're going to explore an artist who turned the world's biggest sport into pure poetry. This is the story of Lionel Messi.
This right here, this quote just captures everything, doesn't it? His greatness wasn't about roaring or intimidating anyone. His magic was subtle. It was in that very first touch, that split second of impossible control that just made everyone, the whole stadium, everyone watching at home, hold their breath.
So, where did this all begin? Well, our story starts in Rosario, Argentina. It starts with a small boy who had an impossibly big dream. At just 11 years old, think about that, an age when most of us are just dreaming about what we want to be. Destiny threw him its first massive curveball, a reality that could have ended his dream before it even had a chance to start.
He was diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency. His talent was just off the charts, but doctors were warning him that his body might never be able to keep up. In a sport that's so much about athleticism, this was a devastating blow.
And this was the turning point, because while most clubs saw a huge risk, FC Barcelona saw something else. They looked right past his height and saw his touch, his vision, his footballing soul. They took a chance on the magic they saw inside him.
And wow, at Barcelona, that faith was repaid 1,000,000 times over. Because he didn't just play the game, he completely redefined what was even possible on a football pitch.
It's almost hard to describe his style with normal football words. His dribbling, it was so tight, so controlled, it was like the ball was just glued to his foot. It honestly felt illegal. His passes would slice through defenses, finding pathways that nobody else could even see. They felt impossible. And when he got a chance to score, you just knew. It felt absolutely inevitable.
See, it wasn't just about the results, or the goals, or the trophies. Watching him play was like watching an artist at work. Every single game was a new canvas, and he would just create these fleeting moments of beauty that will live forever in our memories.
But even as he was conquering the entire world at the club level, there was one massive challenge that remained. One question that seemed to follow him everywhere he went.
And this became the central conflict of his entire career. For all his genius at Barcelona, could he carry the hopes of his entire nation on his shoulders and finally deliver glory for Argentina?
And the pain, it was just relentless. This brutal pattern started to emerge, coming so close only to fall at the very last hurdle. 2014, the World Cup final. Then 2015, the Copa America final. And then again in 2016. Each loss just added more weight, more pressure.
That burden became almost unbearable. Back home, for some, the criticism actually started to drown out all the applause he was getting everywhere else in the world. It got so intense that, for a little while, he even walked away from the national team. But legends don't quit, right? He came back. He came back for one final chapter, one last shot to climb that mountain he'd stumbled on so many times before. But something was different. There was this transformation. He didn't come back with anger or some loud promise. He came back with this quiet, steely resolve. He was stronger, not just in his skill, but in his spirit.
And at the World Cup in 2022, we saw that new Messi. He wasn't just a magician anymore, he was the leader. He fought for every single ball, he inspired his teammates, and most importantly, he made them all believe it was possible.
So when Argentina finally lifted that trophy, man, it was so much more than just a victory. For millions of people, it felt like justice. Justice for a player who had given everything to the game. It was the final perfect line in his epic poem. It was destiny. So what does all this mean for his legacy? Well, his story gives us a completely new way to think about what greatness even is. Think about it. The traditional sports hero often fits a certain mold, right? Loud, maybe a little arrogant, dominating through intimidation. But Messi, he created a totally different path. His legend is built on humility, on a gentle nature, and on a pure, undeniable magic that just spoke for itself.
And that's maybe his biggest lesson. He proved that you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to be the most powerful. He showed all of us that true, lasting greatness can be quiet, it can be gentle, it can be humble.
So years from now, when all the records are eventually broken and the trophies start to gather dust, what are we really going to remember? It's not going to be the numbers, it's going to be the feeling. That collective gasp from an entire stadium, the sheer beauty of a perfect goal, the simple, undeniable magic of it all. We'll remember how it felt to watch an artist paint his masterpieces on grass.
If you like this video, subscribe for more videos like this.